Welcome to the Fix Your Sciatica podcast, where we meet with experts and clients and discuss how to manage your sciatica and low back pain without the use of medications or surgery. I'm your host, Dr. Ashley Mack, and I'm a physical therapist as well as the founder of ifixyoursciatica.com, a go-to resource for pain management. If you're listening to this episode or if you're listening to this podcast, then either you or someone you know is going through a lot of sciatica pain and really are overwhelmed and have nowhere to turn. And I wanted to give you to let you know and give you an opportunity to let you know that there is hope to your recovery. And in today's episode, my special guest is someone who has gone through our program and has experienced some amazing results. And she was kind enough to take some time out of her day to share her success story with you listeners out there. So I want to take a big warm welcome to Cherie. Thank you so much, Cherie, for being on today's episode and sharing your story.
It's my pleasure. Thank you for having me.
So let's hop right into it. Cherie, if you could you tell us a little bit about yourself and what was the story about this sciatica pain you were going through that led you to us?
So a little bit about me. I am a real estate agent in Bellevue, Washington. And my husband and I are home builders, and we have 12 grandkids, and we live a really busy life. And so I've always been in what I consider really good health. Back in 2014, I believe it was, I had surgery on L5-S1. I had a fracture. And so my back was not good, obviously, but I'm going to say that the surgery brought me to about 85, 90%, and I'm really grateful for how well it turned out. So I'm used to, a few of the aches and pains of what happens after you have surgery, etc. But with my sciatica, to your specific point, I had never experienced sciatica before. So that was a new, I guess you could call it sad adventure for me. But as I mentioned, we have 12 grandkids, and we have a place that we take them over in Eastern Washington called Sciatica. And we have a lot of fun with them. They're ages 3 to 10. And they have a community pool there with one of those rolling river swimming pools. And in the middle of it all is what's called the tornado. And I have so much fun in there with them. But after the tornado, seems there was also a tornado in my back. And so I just thought I would try and muscle through it. And things didn't improve when I'd get my regular, a massage. And finally the masseuse said, this isn't like your normal stuff, Cherie, because I also would have occasion where I would have I don't know, Ashley, you've got a name for it, but it's where my hips kind of freeze up, the flexors have an issue. And the masseuse was able to help with that. But with this, she's like, I think there's something not good. So then it got increasingly worse, and I couldn't sleep. I was literally crying because the pain was so severe. I made an appointment with my doctor, but as happens, sometimes you can't get in for a couple of weeks. So I went to Dr. Google and thought, hey, maybe there's some help online. So when I found Dr. Ashley, I immediately decided, hey, I'm going for a walk, because walking did seem to relieve the pain a little bit. And I listened to every podcast the man had. And it was so enlightening. And I would have to say he has been like my candle in the dark. He gave me so much hope. And sometimes the hope is you need more of the hope than you even do the pain relieved at the time, because you suddenly, it was just excruciating pain and I didn't know how to handle it. So that's kind of my story of how I came upon Dr. Ashley. And there you have it.
What an amazing story to go from, you're no stranger to experiencing pain. You're a busy woman. So when it comes to carrying stress and just exerting your energy to take care of the people that you love, and then also to run your businesses, I mean, you are carrying a lot on your shoulders, both physically and also figuratively as well, from just like a life perspective. And when you get this severe pain, it makes everything so much harder. And I do remember our first conversation, and I was so glad that we were able to get connected. And I was so happy to hear that you were getting so much clarity and hope from these podcasts, which was really the big purpose of what I was trying to do when it comes to recording these episodes. And we had an opportunity to meet via Zoom. So Cherie's up in Washington, I'm down in California. So two different states. We had the opportunity to meet via Zoom, and we spent some time getting to know each other. And when I consult with people who are in pain like Cherie, I ask a lot of questions. I think it would have been safe to say that I think our first actual session together, I think it was about 85% of the time I was actually just really asking you questions, kind of getting to the root cause
Yeah.
of the issue. Does that sound about right?
Yes, it did.
And what's important is, for you listeners out there, is when you are meeting with someone and you're going through so much pain, if treating pain was black and white and really simple, then everyone would be walking without any sort of issues, and living their life. But the thing is that there's so much information that is out there, and it can be really overwhelming. And just talking to another human can give you that clarity. And in order for that person to provide the clarity, they have to get all the information. So I do believe that back when we first met, like we went all the way back even to prior to you getting prior to your first surgery, and taking a deep dive into saying, okay, well, what are the issues that we were facing? Now, one of the big questions that people ask when it comes to working with, say, a professional is that iFixYourSciatica.com, the digital portion, came about because of the pandemic. But now that things are a little bit more open up, people have the opportunity to go in person and see people. And when we first met, what were some of your biggest concerns when it came to, say, working with a professional via this virtual medium, via Zoom?
I think prior to COVID, I would have had uh, much more hesitation, but Zoom has become the norm. I also welcomed it because it was an instant connection. One of the things to our audience I would like to say is that I never imagined that I would be checked in on so regularly, maybe a couple times a day. At the beginning, when I was in so much pain. And so it's definitely gives a new meaning to full service, because Dr. Ashley really does care, and he cares about all the little details of how I might be performing an exercise, how I feel afterward. So I found Zoom to be a welcome tool. I also liked the fact that he's a doctor, because I will say that when I've tried to exercise, even if there's simple things like strength training. And by the way, I'm 65 and I feel like I'm a healthy 65, and I don't have extra weight. I don't have any health issues to be aware of, but I do have that pre-existing back surgery. And so if I lift weights incorrectly and such, it can spur a flare up. So I just like that he knew the full spectrum of what was going on. And as he mentioned, he asked an awful lot of questions, which I found just to be reassuring that he had knowledge of where I'd been and so where I needed to go.
And so it is important, folks, that whoever you're working with asks a whole bunch of questions, just like Cherie said, to really identify where you're coming from. So then we can figure out the plan to get you to where you want to be. And so here we are, Cherie. I think it was about 3 total visits, or maybe over a span of 3 weeks, where you were pretty much saying, yeah, you know what, Ashley, I'm feeling pretty good. And I said, this is fantastic. This is my purpose. My purpose is to get you to the point where you don't need me. So now at this point, let's talk about the future and what you're really most excited for yourself now that you don't have this pain anymore. And on top of that, you have the tools, you know, the exact stretches and techniques that would actually bring your sciatica pain down.
So what I would like to say, so you as the audience know kind of where I'm at as far as what I was diagnosed with. I was able during this time with Dr. Ashley to go to my general practitioner who, we did a scan and such. And then I made an appointment with the doctor who had done my surgery years prior, just so I really covered all my bases. And lo and behold, I did in fact have 2 slip discs. And so that's why I was in so much pain. And so it did feel good to have a diagnosis, which of course, Dr. Ashley had told me from the beginning, keep those appointments. But I think from all the questions I've asked you and without seeing a scan, I think it's sciatica. So my doctor had confirmed that it was sciatica. And so I guess the takeaway from that is seek everything you can, maybe as your double check system. But from that point, then we were able to focus more on, okay, for sure, this is sciatica. But I started getting relief even before I got my doctor appointment. In fact, I had so much relief, I almost canceled it with the surgeon that had done my surgery years before, thinking, oh, I'm just, I'm wasting his time, my time, etc. But I plowed through and went, and it was also good for him to confirm what the general practitioner had said. So I'm a real hands-on, what can I do? Tell me what to do. And with Dr. Ashley, he gave me the tools, as he was just mentioning. He gave me really simple exercises, but then I'd say, okay, beyond the exercises, tell me how I'm supposed to sit. Tell me how I'm supposed to stand. Those were, I guess I'd say, life skills that I needed. I'm a broker, so I'm sitting, I'm standing. There's times that maybe I stand for extended periods of time, and he told me things that I was doing wrong. He watched how I walked. It was really incredible how much was able to be accomplished via Zoom. And he even sent me a pod. Is that what it's called? I'm not even sure, to put my camera on so that he could get a fuller scope of the whole picture. So I just can't say enough of how much he was just like a little angel coming down from heaven to help me through this time, because believe me, I was praying for relief. And I was shocked that in such a short period of time, I was able to feel better and to function. So as far as moving forward, I'm sure that Dr. Ashley and I will be staying in touch, but I don't actually have regular scheduled Zooms with him because I don't need it, because what he gave me was, again, the life skill and the tools to just enjoy each day and not have to be in pain. And when I start feeling, maybe this isn't feeling so good, then I can immediately go back to my list and even my videos. He also made videos so that I could have a routine when I get out of bed in the morning to do these few exercises that take less than 5 minutes, but they kind of set the day. I learned a lot about my core and how important of a role the core plays in your back and sciatica. So I'm probably going on and on here, but as you can tell, I'm a fan.
I love that. I love hearing that. And it's so exciting to see successes like yours. And it's really the main reason on why I do what I do. I get home from either a work day when I see people in person out here in Marin County, or after a day working in my office via Zoom. And I say to my wife every evening, man, I love my job. And I love it because it's so exciting to see the impact that, pain relief has on people. And the reality, the truth is that no one ever deserves to live in pain. Like, pain is a way to protect us, to make sure that we're not doing something wrong, or that we are in fact doing something wrong to change it. But for people, you shouldn't be living that in perpetuity. There is hope for you to recover. And Cherie is a prime example for that. And so, Cherie, thank you so much for sharing your story. This is amazing. For people who are listening and they're kind of on the fence, you're not really quite sure on whether or not they should reach out or get a little bit more information from us. What would you say to them?
So what I would say to that, my experience was that the first time we met, I get, well, backtracking, because it's been a month and a half or something now. I recall I went online and I had some questions to answer, which were really simple. And it was on a Saturday, and I didn't expect a response. And I got a response like within, I don't know, immediate 10 or 15 minutes. And then we did some texting back and forth, and we set up our first Zoom. And I don't believe I was even charged for my first Zoom, because it was more of like a more detailed intake. So I would encourage anyone out there, you don't have anything to lose but your time, and you have a lot to gain. Because guys, I was beyond, I couldn't sleep. I was crying. I was literally on the floor. There were times, well, I think the first time when I talked to Ashley, it's like, hey, hi, I'm on the floor here. I know we're Zooming, but I'm on the floor. And so it's almost magical. Do I dare use that word? I don't use it lightly, but it was pretty magical.
Oh, that's amazing. There you have it, folks. You have nothing to lose to reach out and just hear a little bit more about what we can do to help you. And the great thing is the fact that on our website, ifixyoursciatica.com, we actually have a ton of resources. We have our ebooks. We also have other episodes which actually walk you through how to manage your own sciatica pain on your own. But then again, you don't have to go through this alone. So any questions at all, reach out to us, ifixyoursciatica.com. We'd happy to help you. And Cherie, again, thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to sharing your story with the world and spreading hope that you can be healthy and good and live without pain. So thank you.
Dr. Ashley, thank you from the bottom of my heart. And I don't say that lightly. You were that angel I prayed for, and I just Can't thank you enough.
Thank you so much for tuning in. We hope you got some help from today's podcast. And for more info, check us out at ifixyoursciatica.com. Have a fantastic and pain-free day. No patient-therapist relationship is formed by listening to this podcast. We are not providing medical advice, and all information should be confirmed by a medical provider.